Okay, yo, what's going on, everybody? Sorry, here. Let me get some light on this. Just had to let the drop go on, you know what I'm saying? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Big Time Gaming. I'm Pike Slayer, coming at you from the channel here. You can go ahead, follow us on Instagram and so forth. You can see all of our social media on this side over here. Fuck, I always get the pointers mixed up. But listen, man. Okay, there's a couple things that I need to talk about, right? Like, I watched this movie. I'm talking about Kong Godzilla. I watched this movie last night, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, for some reason, I don't know. As mainstream as the movie actually is, it kind of got my attention, and I thought that there were some things that I kind of wanted to point out, just because, you know, it's interesting, right? Like, I saw like a clip a while back of Barstool talking about grizzly bear versus like a gorilla, and who would kind of win in that fight. Well, this is like the most epic battle of all time, right? This is Kong versus Godzilla, if you will. And it goes back a long time. I think, you know, the movie does a couple good things, but here I want to show you this clip yesterday, because we kind of talked about it before the movie, and then I'll give you my afterthoughts on the movie here.
Know where he is.
I just think that if, like, right, because they're gonna have to approach each other from a distance at first. Like, if Kong can get within proximity to Godzilla, then maybe he stands a chance. If Godzilla is far away, he's got fucking laser beams.
Fucking laser beams and like whatever, fire or whatever. Like,
there's no way that Kong is laser beam immune.
He's got a dumb lizard brain now. The monkey's got a big smart monkey
that's just
brain
it,
like
dude.
us.
I feel like yeah, we're like, he could like operate a gun if he wanted to, whereas like fucking like he could fucking operate a nuke if he wanted to. Fucking Kong could, you know?
Yeah, he's got the FFAR.
He's got the smarts and the agility. That's a lot. That's saying a lot. It's not just. It's like Mario and Bowser. You know what I mean?
Donkey Kong and Bowser.
Well, no, but like Mario and Bowser too, because Mario and Bowser always face each other.
Okay, man, that's some whack ass shit. Let me play this in the background. Okay. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you agree with T-Tot's take here? I see what he's saying, right? So, before I get like super critical of this movie, I'm gonna say a couple things that I like about the movie, and I'll go off of Tata's point here, because I think that he does have a point with Kong being able to go out and, you know, utilize certain things to his advantage, and the movie does go into that. So, spoiler alert, that he actually goes and he gets this mythic axe. Of all things that I think that Kong could possibly use in the movie, I don't necessarily understand where the mythic axe comes from. And this is kind of like the cool part about it. So I think that, number one, on the Kong Godzilla side, like, they did as much as they possibly could do. I mean, when it comes to creation, like, I like what they did. They implemented Kong and Godzilla into a specific setting. So Godzilla wins when they're in the water, right? Of course, he's going to win when they're in the water, because Kong can't breathe in the water. And then they do kind of a land versus water thing. And Kong wins round 2, right? Now, there are a lot of like really weird moments in their matchup where they're just kind of like looking at each other and they're just like facing off. Like, I think that there's maybe 3 or 4 times where they just kind of have a staring contest with each other, and they're just like looking into each other's eyes. Like, it happens next to like, I mean, I gave this movie a D-, and I thought about it a little bit, right? Like, and there's one reason why I would switch it from a D- to maybe like a D+ on average, right? So like, there's this moment, and it's kind of cool. These are the things that get me in movies, and that kind of set the movie apart from like maybe a D- to like a D+. Like, it should have had a fucking F. Like, if you're considering the actors in this movie, it's got an F. But essentially what happens is that there's this moment, right, where Kong and Godzilla, they're staring at each other. But when they're bringing Kong back from Skull Island, Kong, they have this weird portal, and essentially Kong goes to the center of the earth in order to find like his ancestors and have you. So like, he goes down and he's looking, he's in the center of the earth, and then Godzilla can sense that he's back with like his ancestors or whatever. So he shoots this giant laser beam down, and there's this cool like sci-fi kind of thing or theory where if you're in the center of the earth, basically the gravitational pull flips, and then essentially like, it's kind of coming in. So like, if you're in the center of the earth, the gravity pull is going like back down towards, you know, the outer face of the earth, and then it's going down. I don't know. I sound like a crazy person, crazy theory, but it's like the same thing in the Justice League, right? Like, when if you watch the Snyder Cut, the Flash goes back in time to kind of reverse everything that happened after they lose to Darkseid and after they lose to Steppenwolf, right? So that's like kind of the cool thing, and that ultimately like that's what elevated it from a D- in my book to at least a D or a D+. Now I just want to like say something really quickly because I mean, of course, Tada is right? So, like, Kong does have the smarts. I don't know if he's going to operate a specific nuke. Like, I think eventually they just gave him the hammer just so that he could win. But, like, I think 9 times out of 10, Godzilla is going to fucking win this fight. Especially, you know, when they're coming at each other from a distance. Like, in terms of proximity, Kong is going to win every time. But on a distance level, Godzilla is going to beat Kong every fucking time. Now, let me talk about this really quickly because I want to talk about this. It's become kind of a norm with specific movies, and I get it. Like, there's a director's cut, and then there's kind of like the Hollywood cut. So, like, what's acceptable? Like, who are we marketing this to? I completely understand that we're marketing this movie towards kids, right? And so that's why we have to have Millie Brown in the storyline. So they basically write in Millie Brown, and then they write in another actor, and it kind of splits between Kong and Godzilla storyline. That goes off from the second movie. So Millie Brown comes in after the second movie going off a Godzilla storyline, and then they have a little girl that's supposed to be kind of in touch. She's and with Kong, so she can communicate with Kong, and she's supposed to be the key. Now, what the key means, I don't really know. Like, they don't actually even say anything as to why or what the key means. So that's a huge plot hole. I mean, she's just able to communicate with Kong, and eventually at the end of the movie, she's just like, hey, Kong, Godzilla's your friend, and then they become fucking friends. Whatever. I don't give a shit. So here's the thing. Like, we have to stop acting, or we have to stop pretending that the actor is bigger than the role. And now let me get into this a little bit, because like it comes down to the biggest thing in my mind is like the Marvel universe, right? So they talk about how Robert Downey Jr.'s last line in Endgame is "I am Iron Man," and essentially, like, what happens is the actors are able to kind of play their own selves within these roles, and then it takes away from the character, right? So, like, Robert Downey Jr. is able to be Robert Downey Jr. He's kind of able to be a little bit of an asshole in the films. They let him be himself, and they write in a bunch of different jokes into his script, and he's able to kind of just be his own self in Iron Man. And then that's why that end of the movie line comes in and he says, I am Iron Man. Well, let me tell you something. Like, Robert Downey Jr. isn't Iron Man. Iron Man is Robert Downey Jr., right? Goes to every single Marvel character. We idolize these people, and we make the celebrity seem like, you know, they're the one that made the role, when in reality, these roles have been around for a very long time, right? Like, that's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of the Marvel universe, is because I grew up as a Marvel fan. I used to like Iron Man. I used to love Spider-Man and shit like that. Tom Holland is not Spider-Man. Peter Parker is Spider-Man, right? Miles Morales is Spider-Man. So now what we're doing is that we've taken these socially acceptable things within Hollywood, like these things that have worked within specific movies or maybe specific marketing. Comes down to Stranger Things now, and we have Millie Bobby Brown as one of the actors within that role. And so now I feel like I'm watching a Stranger Things movie, just because, you know, like, just because she was in the last movie and she gets an even more prominent role in this movie doesn't necessarily mean that makes the movie better, right? Like, now she's an even better I don't know, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, you see what I'm saying, right? Like, because the actor's significance, they have to place the actor in that movie. You know what I'm saying? And then that's what's supposed to elevate the movie. Well, as a matter of fact, like, like in both storylines, both of these kids are implemented into it, and they're supposed to serve like this key role. This is not a Stranger Things movie. This is fucking Godzilla versus fucking King Kong. And in my mind, what happens is, or, well, not in my mind, okay? Like, essentially what happens in the fucking storyline is that Millie Bobby Brown and her friends, they go out and they go on this adventure to find Mecha Godzilla, whatever, who cares? At the end of the movie, what happens is that this fat kid, I don't even know his name, but he's able to shut Mecha Godzilla down right before he's about to kill Kong by pouring liquor into the computer system. Because let's be real here, the kid doesn't know how to operate the computer system, but they're able to write these things off just because they're kids, right? And because it's fucking like, who else would be a better role than to have, or on this epic journey, than Millie Bobby Brown as, you know, the main character. So they pour the alcohol in. Mechagodzilla stops working, even though he's about to just completely kick King Kong and Godzilla's ass. and then the droid shuts down, and then King Kong is able to essentially rip him to shreds, right? And so, like, that's kind of the issue that I have with this movie. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like, it has nothing to do with Godzilla and King Kong because, like I said, like, I think in a setting perspective, like, they got Godzilla in the water, or King Kong and Godzilla in water versus land, in distance and proximity. And then they're able to also use King Kong with specific weapons because he understands how to utilize those weapons. But really, like, in that part is completely fine, and I think that there's a couple cool sci-fi concepts that are able to flip this movie from a D- to at least a D or a D+ in my mind. But essentially, everything else, like every actor in this movie, is completely disposable. I mean, there's this one girl in the movie. Her dad is the one that built, like, evil corporate CEO. He's the one that builds Mechagodzilla in order to kill Godzilla, so that the human race can then become dominant again, because Godzilla and King Kong have essentially come to, like, rule our world and become dominant. Well, he sends his daughter out on this mission to essentially, when, like, King Kong goes to the core of the world, he sends his daughter to, like, find this energy source, which I guess powers Godzilla, and she picks up, like, one little rock and then, like, instantly becomes the bad guy, and then King Kong just literally just grabs her ship as she's trying to escape and then just smashes it in her hand. And it simplifies the significance of the character in these movies. Like, she's gone and it makes no fucking difference. It makes not a fucking difference, not at all. And I felt this way with a lot of the people. Like, the kids, like, I get the kid narrative. Like, you put the kid in the movie and we're trying to do a Stranger Things kind of thing, you know, market to these kids, make them think that they can do fucking anything. But all the adults in this movie are so freaking stupid. Like, I mean, I understand, like, their motivations and their purpose, and they try and put this in here kind of like as an arc, but, like, in all honesty, they're all disposable. So go ahead, watch the movie, give it a try, get back to me, let me know what you think. You can go ahead and follow us on Instagram. That's at bigtime.gaming. I'll probably be reviewing some other movies in the future. So stay tuned for that. And hey, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.